Hello and welcome to this week's edition of the Retirement Compass, the show designed to help you successfully navigate to and through your retirement. I'm your host, Kristen Oakley, and I'm joined in the studio by the co-founder of Stonebridge Wealth Systems, Tim Kulhanek, and partner Jeremy Gove. We've got an important show for you today. The title of this episode is Schemes and Scams: How to Protect Yourself Against Fraud in This Age of Artificial Intelligence. We know that the amount of folks who have been schemed and scammed is on the rise. We want to help protect you and your retirement, not just from market volatility and rising taxes, although those threats are very real as well. But today's conversation is all about protecting what you've worked so hard for against these schemes and scams. Tim, Jeremy, so good to be here with both of you. I know this is something that you wanted to talk about again. We've done a previous show on it. Talk about why you're so passionate about having this conversation and really helping our viewers understand what's going on out there.
Because it is on the rise, and we see this, you probably see it monthly, if not weekly.
Weekly, yeah.
Weekly, wow.
It's really insidious what these folks are doing, and they've become so sophisticated. In the age of AI, we figured, now is the time we need to be reminding folks that, when you get those phone calls and it says potential spam, I know that we all like to think that people want to call and talk to us, but odds are there's somebody that's trying to exploit you when those things come in. It could be on the computer, it could be through your email, a lot of different things that could happen, that people could be trying to infiltrate your hard-earned resources. So we want to make sure that we're playing defense, okay?
Yep.
Black shirts.
I like it.
And making sure that we're protecting folks' money, not just growing it, but making sure we're keeping it in their pocket, not protecting it just from taxes. We talk about that all the time on the show. There's other threats out there we need to be aware of.
Yeah, and it blows my mind. Weekly, you're seeing this.
Yeah, literally weekly.
So folks are coming in and meeting with you and they're saying, help, I've been scammed, or they're trying, set the stage for what usually is happening in these conversations.
So the good thing is we have pretty good relationships with our clients. So they're coming in and they're saying, hey, Jeremy, I was thinking about doing this, or I was going to do that. And one of the things that people will almost always say is don't talk to any family members or don't talk to your advisor, financial advisor.
You mean the people who are scamming are saying that?
The people that are scamming them, they're telling them that. And so naturally they want to come and talk to us about it. So that's a good thing. That's a good relationship that we have with our clients to do that.
To be able to go over it with you before they were to make a tragic decision, right?
Yeah, absolutely.
Well, I know that a lot of times what scammers have done, I've seen this in my own family, and it's scary, especially with AI, what can be done. I know a few years ago, my father called me and said, do you know where Charlie is, my husband? And I said, yeah, he's visiting his parents at the moment. What's going on? And he had received a phone call that was in my husband's voice, and it was, the story was enough that made my dad realize, okay, I don't think this is him, but it was still his voice that was being generated. That's terrifying, because I know that that's how a lot of scammers, what they're doing is using loved ones' voices, people that you trust, having them call said person and say, hey, I need money for XYZ, right?
Yeah, absolutely. So one of the things that I was looking and doing some research on this, the Pew Research study that was actually conducted in April of 2025, so just this year, there were 9,397 U.S. adults that responded. 73% of them had experienced an online scam or attack. So out of that, 73% experienced a scam or attack. 32% said that it happened this year. So basically a third of the people that responded to that study had experienced an attack this year. And we're talking about a study that was conducted in April of 2025.
Right.
So the first quarter just out of the first quarter of the year.
Wow.
Yeah, so it's a pretty big problem. The interesting thing is, out of that study, 22% of the people that were participating in the study had mentioned that they had been scammed multiple times. So Pew put out in their study, they had listed 6 different scams that they were asking people, have you fallen victim to this? 22% of those 9,000 responded that they had been a victim of more than one of those scams.
Wow.
So that's why we want to do a show like this.
Yeah, no, for sure. Because people are being targeted, especially, retirees, and as folks get older, right? They're trying to prey on maybe someone cognitively isn't as up to speed anymore. I mean, it's really scary. And what I had heard too about this study is that these numbers are actually believed to be underreported. So get this, just 4% of these scams are actually being reported. And I think part of the complication is a lot of times when folks realize they've been scammed, there's a lot of embarrassment, there's a lot of shame that can come from that. So folks don't like to talk about it, right?
Yeah.
So if you think that only 4% of total scams are being reported and there's that many scams happening, just how many more are actually occurring without folks even reporting it? It's scary.
And a lot of them don't know they're being scammed. So what I want to do just real briefly is just take a step back and let's define what we're talking about. So what is a scheme or a scam when it comes to financial exploitation? Well, according to Bob Powell, who's the editor of Retirement Daily on the Street, he says that it's defined as the misappropriation or misuse of an older and vulnerable adult's funds, deceiving someone with the promise of goods or services or benefits that may not even exist, or cashing someone's checks without permission, forging signatures, or improperly using authority. And so who are the common perpetrators? Who do you think is a common perpetrator, most common perpetrator? Is it the stranger that calls with the foreign accent?
No, it's impersonating someone that you know or the people that you're close to, right?
Or it is somebody that you are
actually
close
know,
to.
right.
So according to the FBI, the common perpetrators are family, friends, caretakers, professional service providers, and then after that, strangers. So that's sad. That's the state of the world we live in, but that is the reality. So you really have to do everything you can to protect yourself. The majority of the cases, it says, are where the victim knows and trusts the perpetrator.
How sad.
Yeah, tragic.
So what, if you had to tangibly spell out what some of these schemes and scams are looking like that you see the most often, characterize that for our viewers. What do they especially need to be on the lookout for?
So I wrote a list just to kind of help us guide the conversation. A lot of what the trend is this won't come to any surprise to our viewers out there, is they're using some form of AI to try to, like what Kristen just talked about, they're using voice, simulation technology. There was even at a training I went to specific about this topic, because we want to make sure that we're educating ourselves so we can look out for these and recognize them and protect our clients. There was a video of Warren Buffett giving specific advice, and Warren Buffett's like, I never said that, And so it's getting really, really difficult in order to identify these. But a lot of them are phishing emails, employment scams, tech support. Probably the grossest one I've seen. They're called romance scams. So they target people who are on your own sensibilities, your own emotions of loneliness and desire for connection and social interaction. So this literally just happened this week. I got a text message and it says, hey, this is Cindy or whoever it was. I just found your number in my phone. What's your name? Well, that's how it starts. It's this innocuous, random text message. And then they build on that. And before you know it, they've created a situation where they've gained your trust. You think you know them, right? And then it just builds from there. We'll talk about as we go through the show is how it builds. But the thing that I want to leave this segment with our viewers with is the fact that you've spent probably 4 decades in many cases paying yourself first, scrimping and saving and doing without, just to make sure that you have enough money to hopefully last you the next 20, 30 plus years in retirement. And the last thing we want to have happen is for some bad actor to come in and scheme you out of your hard-earned dollars, and it can happen literally to anyone. That's why it's so important to put an iron curtain around your money, to make sure that you have a trusted ally in your corner who's going to help you look out for these potential schemes and scams and fraud opportunities that these opportunities will exploit if you're not prepared. What we'd like to invite you to do is give the number on the bottom of the screen a call for your complimentary written income plan. And part of that is we're going to help educate you on what to be looking out for, what might be a phishing email, what might be a spoof of a website, and help protect you. So that way when those calls come and if they somehow get you on the phone, you can give them a simple answer. You say, you know what? I work with Stonebridge. Let me give my advisor a call and run it past them and make sure they're good with it. And what do you know? Before you know it, these calls will either slow down or the people will just hang up and eventually start leaving you alone because they know that you have this defensive mechanism, the defensive team in place. We invite you to call the number today.
I love that imagery of setting up that protective hedge, if you will, that protective fence, right? Like a security system for our homes.
Absolutely.
That's what you want to do for folks' retirement. So Tim, Jeremy, thank you so much. If this is something that you are concerned about, maybe you have been one of the victims of these schemes and scams, there's no reason to feel shame with that. There is help, and we encourage you to reach out. You are not alone. The team of Stonebridge Wealth Systems is here for you, and you can schedule your time to come in and meet with the team and receive your very own complimentary written financial review by calling 866-256-7778. Or if you'd rather connect online, simply grab your smartphone. You can just click that QR code there in the bottom right-hand corner of your screen, and that will get you connected as well. Stay with us. We're going to shed some more light on what you need to be aware of, especially in this age of artificial intelligence, and how you can protect yourself right after this.
Our team is very unique, so we all have different gifts. You know, when you put it all together, it fits well.
Jeremy is definitely our most seasoned and fastest growing advisor we have. He's discerning, so he understands the way we want to do things at Stonebridge, to focus on the client and solving their problems, and that's really what he's passionate about.
I know Tim spends a lot of time making sure that all the I's are dotted and T's are crossed for his clients. And he's not just satisfied knowing the 30,000-foot view, he wants to get down in the weeds and know exactly how it works.
The things that you buy, the stocks, the bonds, the mutual funds, that really isn't that important to the client. What's important to the client is, what does this mean for me? And at the end of the day, what it means is they can sit back and listen to the music. You know that you got a team, not just one person, but an entire team behind you that's taking care of those things, so you can focus on what's important. Imagine not having to face your retirement journey with the same old corporate solutions as everyone else. In these economic times, you deserve a fresh perspective that includes a personalized income plan and a tax map from an independent fiduciary advisor whose focus is on you. Call the number you see here to schedule your complimentary review.
Welcome back to the Retirement Compass. I'm Kristen Oakley here with both Tim and Jeremy from Stonebridge Wealth Systems, and we are so glad that you're joining us today. If you're just tuning in, we are having a very important conversation all about how to protect yourself and your hard-earned money from the schemes and the scams and the rising threat to retirees in this day and age of artificial intelligence. And we were just talking during the break, we had done a similar show on this topic over a year ago now. Yeah. But yet we just shared some statistics in the first segment that show that in 2025 alone, these schemes and these scams have significantly increased. But I want to go back to something you had shared on that previous show when we had a similar conversation. You had shared the case of a woman named Frances Sharples, right?
Yeah.
And if you're not familiar, she's a former U.S. government PhD and scientist. And she had a quote in an article, and this is just, I'm paraphrasing it. She basically said, "I have a PhD. I'm not a stupid person. I should have known better." And I think that's the scary thing, right? This can truly happen to anyone. And we're seeing it happen to lots of people. Like you said, this is coming up weekly in conversations with folks you're meeting with. And so, you know, again, it's happening nationwide, it's happening worldwide. But what are you specifically seeing here in Nebraska that you want our viewers in South Dakota in that area to be aware of and protected from?
Yeah, I mean, what you said is they're equal opportunity crooks. And they don't really care who you are. They don't care if you're down on your luck, if you are down to your last dollar. They don't care if you're on Medicaid and disability. They will take whatever you have, and they don't feel bad about it. They're really bad people, and that's just a reality of living in a fallen world. And so you have to protect yourself. I was just reading the case of Frances Sharples again, and it's really shocking. So I'd encourage all of our viewers, check this out. It was in December 2023 Washington Post. Okay, so you can find it there. Frances Sharples, just search that. You'll find the case study, if you will. They got her so convinced that they were on her side, that they had written down instructions for her. She told a fraud investigator at a large financial services firm who their red flags went up because she was calling, wanting to not do a rollover, but take a distribution of around $700,000 retirement dollars. It's a taxable event, right? They convinced her so much, and they told her, hey, they're going to put somebody on the phone who tries to persuade you not to do this and tells you that we're the bad people. No, they're all in on together. There's a conspiracy against you. She told the fraud investigator no. The fraud investigator said, well, what are you using this money for? She said, read her notes, "I've done this many times. I don't wish to speak to you further. Please proceed with my transfer." She took the withdrawal. That's a taxable event, 1099, right? She put it in her bank. The bank's like, hey, what's going on with this? I don't wish to, to answer any questions, blah, blah, blah. There were so many red flags along the way, but at the time, her brain wasn't sending, she's saying, I should have known better, but her brain was basically being overcome by emotion, by fear. When they prey on your sensibilities and your weaknesses, which is our emotions,
Right.
in order to kind of mask what they're doing. And that's how they get through the net, so to speak. And the quote that really stuck with me the most, because we're seeing the same types of scams, there's a playbook, right?
Right,
They don't
right.
care where you're at. The quote that stuck with me the most is from that article is essentially it said, the scammers get their money, the IRS gets their piece, and she gets nothing. Because not only did the scammers get their money because she transferred money to a crypto account,
Right.
but she got a 1099.
And had to pay taxes.
She had
on
to pay
that.
over $100,000 of income tax. So she was like, literally, as they're interviewing her, she's in bed crying, through her tears, explaining the story. That's the reality of what this is. So it might not seem like that big of, oh, this is a financial show. Why are they talking about this? This is why, because you could do a great job growing your money, but if it
Right.
gets stolen
Yep.
by somebody, we didn't do our job.
Yeah, for sure. And you talked about putting that protective hedge around. I know you have a story of someone that you've worked with that you were able to prevent them from falling victim. Do you want to share that?
Sure, that was actually something that happened to a client of mine who's in that. Remember when I give you the definition of a vulnerable person and what they're going after? She's in her 80s, and these people are so sophisticated. She got something off of like Etsy or I don't know what it was, and she wanted to return it. So she looked up on the internet what the phone number was, but what they do is they create fake phone numbers.
Right. Yep.
And so called, it was not a legitimate phone call. Somebody answered, said, I'm going to transfer you to the FTC because we actually have information here that shows you violated this rule and that law. And I need to call real quick to make sure the county sheriff turns around because he's on the way to your house right now with an arrest warrant. To us sitting here talking, it seems like, well, of course that's a scam,
Right, right.
But, depending on how loud that fear mechanism is.
Yep.
So she, thank goodness, she called me. She hung up and she called me. She goes, Tim, the FTC is after me. This is going on. What do I do? I'm like, what you do is you hang up the phone. You don't
Right.
call them back and you don't answer their calls. But they were trying to get her to take money out of her retirement accounts, go and put it in a lockbox and threatening her.
Right.
So yeah, it's happening all over the country, even in small. That was in Seward, Nebraska.
Right, right. Well, I'm glad you were able to help prevent that from her from falling victim. I'm curious, Jeremy, because I know you said you're having this conversation regularly with your clients and the folks that come in to meet with you. How have you coached your clients to respond to some of these more complicated schemes? Because it's not just as simple sometimes as don't answer your phone, right? Like the day and age that we live in. So how can folks protect themselves?
Well, I think it comes down to recognizing the red flags. So, like Tim mentioned, if it says spam caller, don't answer that. The FBI even says if you answer that, you get put on a hit list. Usually they will hang up. They won't even actually talk to you, but now they know that's a live number.
They'll sell your number,
They'll sell your number
on the black market.
Interesting.
Yeah.
Ugh,
So if
gosh.
it says spam,
Right.
in fact, I have clients that they won't even answer the phone ever. They'll let it go to voicemail. When you start leaving a voicemail, then they may pick up because a lot of cell phones, you can do that now.
Yes, and you can see
Well,
now it'll transcribe and if
Yep.
it's something that you need to respond to or not,
Yeah,
right?
then they'll pick up. And
Yeah.
so, and I encourage people to do that because it's easy for them to call us back, and
Right.
then they know they're calling our office number, all that. So the first thing is recognizing the red flags. The FBI provided a lot of guidance in as I was researching this and putting the show together. It's somebody that's meeting you online. If somebody's reaching out to you online through some sort of website or whatever, they're reaching out to you unsolicited. That should raise a red flag. On LinkedIn, there's a lot of people that are trying to connect to you,
Right.
and so you got to take that a little bit with a grain of salt. But for the most part, if people are reaching out and they're not even in the same industry, they're not even, hey, I saw your profile and I wanted to meet you or whatever, that's
Right.
probably a red flag.
Yep.
A lot of times people will start a discussion via a text message like Tim mentioned. Hey, I don't know why your number's in my phone. Can you tell me who you are or whatever?
Right.
And then they start that dialogue with you. But then typically they'll want to move that to an encrypted messaging system. So like WhatsApp or something else, that's what they try to take you to
Right.
because then, the messages aren't as easily transcribed.
Yep.
If it's related to investing, we talked a lot about with our clients. If somebody's saying you're going to have a 30% return a year for the next 3 years,
Right. Offering kind of guarantees and
those pie in the sky numbers. I mean, Is that possible? Yes, but it's not likely, and especially from
Right.
people that are reaching out to you that you've never met before. So that's another red flag. The other big thing that most of these people will bring up is they'll say, I only have limited space, so don't mention this to your family or to your advisor because they couldn't get into it anyway. And I have this all the time where I'm trying to get you into this investment, but then you bring your friends and family and then they're all disappointed. So we don't want to disappoint them. So it's just a way of building that trust.
Scarcity mindset that they're trying to feed, right?
Exclusivity.
It's exclusivity. Yeah,
Right.
they're really trying to get you to think, oh yeah, this is actually a really good deal. I better try to
While
move
I can.
forward while I can get into it.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
those are the things that we want to really, those are the red flags that we really want to, I guess, look for and
For sure.
be aware of.
Yeah. Well, I know you can only protect folks who are willing to receive your help, to come in and meet with you. But this is a part of a larger conversation, right? This is why you guys are passionate about building comprehensive, holistic financial plans for those that you work with. Talk a little bit about how this complimentary financial, written financial review, what that's going to do for our viewers and in the context of today's conversation.
Yeah, it's not about just one thing. That's really what we got to understand is it's not just about investing your money. It's not, hey, let me play this out, okay? Usually when you go to a financial advisor, and this is kind of the stereotypical first meeting, there's some, kind of salutations, how you doing, a greeting, and then it's all about your investments. It's about your money, and that's important. I need to know those things because I need to know, what money you have in your taxable, tax deferred, tax free. We'll get to all of that. But if all I focus on is how do you grow your money, I'm maybe focusing on 20% of the whole entire piece. So that's why we designed at our firm what's called the Retirement Compass. It focuses on the 5 key areas of planning: income, investment, tax, healthcare, and legacy. So when you come in, we're gonna have that conversation, get to know more about your goals, your objectives, what you're trying to achieve in your ideal retirement, and then we're gonna go through that Retirement Compass process. What it is just an analysis of the 5 key areas of planning. What it does is it analyzes each of those, a thorough deep dive. We're gonna do a fee analysis, a risk analysis, a tax analysis, draw up a tax map, a legacy plan. We're gonna make sure that your healthcare needs are covered. All of that's going to be covered, but here's the key I wanna leave you with as we go to break here. What that means is when you leave our office, you will know that your plan has been mathematically tested and is designed to work in all weather, okay? Good markets and bad, high inflation and low inflation, high interest rates, low interest rates. Investing is a marathon, it's not a sprint, and so is retirement, but you have to have a trusted ally in your corner, and we would love to be that partner. Give us a call today at the number on the bottom of your screen. We look forward to seeing you soon.
Wonderful. Tim, Jeremy, thank you so much. If you are already working with another financial professional and they are not having these kinds of conversations with you, you owe it to yourself to get this complimentary second opinion. We encourage you to reach out. 866-256-7778 is the number to call. Or again, you're welcome to scan that QR code and that will get you connected as well. Stay with us. We've got more ways for you to be aware and to protect yourself right after this.
If you think about the average American consumer, we don't talk about financial topics very often. And so we spend a lot of time at Stonebridge doing educational seminars and different things that are free of charge. If you're not educated in a topic, how do you make educated decisions? When you're working with a client, you're sitting down with them, they're a little stressed out, but after you go through the process and you really take time to educate them on not only what we're doing for them, but why we're doing it, that really gives them peace of mind, and you can see the weight just kind of drops. And when they leave, I hear all the time,
I really should have done this years ago. But sometimes there's a fear that somebody might try to sell us something. If the things that I can provide, if you don't want, don't need, or can't use those, I've got some good news for you. We're not going to sell them to you. We are fulfilling our fiduciary duty of putting their interests ahead of our own.
Have you ever considered refinancing your retirement? When interest rates are low, you might be able to refinance your home, your car loan, or even credit card rates, because it would help you keep more of your own money each month. Yet when interest rates go up, it may make sense to refinance your retirement. Higher interest rates could provide income opportunities that you may not be aware of. What works for your portfolio during low interest rates may not work for you when interest rates are high. Find out if a retirement refi could work better for you. Give us a call today and schedule a complimentary Refi Your Retirement review.
Welcome back to the Retirement Compass, where today we've been discussing the importance of understanding the schemes and the scams and the fraud that is on the rise so that you can protect yourself and your hard-earned money from those scammers and schemers. Here's the reality. This is staggering. Investment fraud is on the rise, especially with cryptocurrency. This is really interesting. It rose from $2.57 billion in 2022 to almost $4 billion in 2023 to $40 billion in 2025. And the scary thing is these schemes and these scams, guys, are getting more and more sophisticated. So I know we only have a couple minutes left today, but Jeremy, let me just ask you to walk us through just kind of a general overview as we sum up today's conversation. When viewers need to be aware of these red flags, what are some of the patterns that the FBI is saying, okay, this is how you know it's a scheme or a scam? What are some ways that they get you, if you will, so we can protect people from that?
Yeah, it's a great question. So it's a great way to end the show. So again, we talked about they want to identify the victim, and they do that with social media and all these other ways that they can connect with you, whether it's an email,
text message,
right. All those dating sites and all that stuff. The next step that they almost always use is they start to build trust with you. Mm-hmm. And that was what Tim was mentioning with the gal who took $700,000 out of her retirement account. Mm-hmm. She trusted them, right? Yeah. She didn't just do that because she's stupid. She did it because she trusts them. So the way that they do that is with excessive flattery. Mm-hmm. They emphasize or empathize with you.
Yeah.
A lot of times if you're going through a divorce and that's on your social media, they'll use that to, they're going through a divorce also, even though they're not even married. Who knows? Right. So they're doing that. They're suffering from some sort of hardship. They're offering to meet in person, so that starts to build the trust, but then they can never make that happen, right? They always have some excuse why they can't do that.
Yep.
And then the last couple things are the romantic interest we kind of talked about. They agree to do stuff and then they don't follow through, is basically what's happening.
Yeah. So again, there's lots of red flags, but you've seen this, so you're more aware than someone who might be in it. What do you want to leave our viewers with to help them protect themselves today?
Offense sells tickets. Defense does what?
Wins championships.
Mm-hmm.
We'll be your defense. Give us a call at the bottom of the screen. We're excited to help you.
Wonderful. Tim, Jeremy, thank you so much. I know this is an important conversation. Obviously, it's on the rise. We want you to protect yourself. You don't have to go it alone. The team of Stonebridge Wealth Systems is here for you. 866-256-7778 is the number to call to start your journey and receive your very own complimentary written financial review today. Thanks so much for watching, and we look forward to being back with you next time here on the Retirement Compass.